Let's switch over to London, joined by Middle East expert, Mr. Zaid Al-Issa. Thank you so much for being with us, Mr. Al-Issa. Let's look at the situation now. Your perspective on what the Iraqi government has done, apparently appearing that they needed to stop the broadcasting of 10 television stations. Your take, sir.
Yeah, this decision, I can say in all honesty, has been long overdue, and it is high time, considering the highly volatile and highly precarious situation and the sharp deterioration in the security situation, to actually ban or revoke the license of those channels which have been openly and explicitly calling for, demanding and encouraging the insurgents to take up arms against security forces, and has been clearly backing up, supporting and throwing their weight behind the Al-Qaeda in Iraq, and also behind
Mr. Al-Issa, let me jump in here. Can you hear me? Let me just jump in here, because we know, being of course Press TV, and how we are blocked from satellites now all across the world. So tell me exactly what you think that they have done, that you say that they are encouraging the insurgents or encouraging sectarianism in that country.
As I told you, that they haven't been mincing their words, they haven't been beating about the bush, they have explicitly, openly and publicly thrown their weight, thrown their support, thrown their backing, and they have been highly vocal about supporting supporting violence, propagating the message of those violent and sectarian movements like Al-Qaeda and the Ba'athist, and glorifying and giving the incentive and the impetus for them to take up arms against the security forces, justifying those acts of terrorism that have been taking place in Iraq. But what I find highly suspicious, and I would say inexcusable and indefensible, that the Iraqi government has not actually including the Al Arabiya TV channel, which has actually in many ways rivaled, not only rivaled, but have surpassed and even surmounted the Al Jazeera in its wholehearted support and emphatic backing to pursuing Saudi Arabia's government agenda.
So why do you think that that's the case? Why do you think that's the case, Mr. Al-Issa?
And instigating violence in Iraq.
Mr. Al-Issa, you said that you're wondering why the Iraqi government did not include Al Arabiya. I will ask you that question. Why do you think that they have excluded Al Arabiya from that list?
I think it's part and parcel of the appeasement strategy that the Iraqi government has pursued towards Saudi Arabia, and turning a blind eye towards the sectarian, the ramping up of the sectarian rhetoric and the ratcheting up of the sectarian tension in Iraq, and openly and publicly inciting, encouraging the Sunnis to take up arms against the Iraqi government, accusing it of discriminating against the Sunnis, and also throwing their weight behind the protests which have been used and exploited by Al-Qaeda, who are now clearly appear to be part and parcel of Jabhat al-Nusra in Syria, which has been openly and publicly supported, financed and armed, and also paid salaries by Saudi Arabia and Qatar. And we've seen that Al-Qaeda in Iraq have clearly said that Jabhat al-Nusra in Syria is part and parcel of its forces and merely an extension, and their man in Syria represents Al-Qaeda. So it's a huge mistake, and part of the spectacularly part of the policy by the Iraqi government, which has spectacularly failed and spectacularly backfired by trying to appease the Saudis, and it has failed miserably.
All right,
because
Mr.
it simply encouraged the Saudis to carry on.
I appreciate you being with us right here on Press TV's Top 5. Middle East expert out of London, Mr. Zaid Al-Issa.